This episode is brought to you by May Precision Ag, Kiowa, Kansas.
Howdy.
How are you? You didn't let me get through my whole promotion.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for not cussing. Be sure to contact Jerry May, the guy sitting to my right, for all your grid soil sampling, pioneer seed, and custom farming needs.
Well, you got that memorized, don't you?
I got it memorized.
Hey, just in case somebody does cuss on this, I believe there's a few buttons down there that you can push.
Nothing I can't take out.
That's right.
But don't push your luck.
Do we edit this one? I know we don't edit. We don't edit our other one.
Yeah.
We just let it roll. But do we edit this one?
I do sometimes. Sometimes I don't.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
We had like last week we had a coach's show. Sorry, I need to adjust my microphone.
Can't hear you.
The coach's show. Grant wasn't able to come in studio, so he called in and we had him on a video here, and we did not hear it during the recording. Once I went back and listened, his voice echoed the entire time he talked, and it wasn't coming through on our side. So I removed every bit of everything that he said other than hi and bye. And then we put a little note in it. You know, there was some audio technology issues.
Yes.
And we got close. We had a couple players on the coach's show one time, and one of them got really close to getting some bulletin board material for one of our opponents.
Oh.
So we almost had to edit a little bit there, but I edit just a little bit. But how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing good. Doing real good.
Yeah. We have the MPA podcast where we talk precision agriculture and everything under the sun.
I think there's a lot of sun and very little agriculture sometimes. Depends on what tangent we get off on.
But I thought I think this is the 17th episode, maybe I ought to have the guy on that lets me use his facility to do a little podcast.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry it took me 17 episodes to go, hey, Jerry, you ought to come on the podcast sometime.
Not worried about it whatsoever. I'm glad you gave me 5 minutes notice.
Yeah, I did. You're welcome.
Yep. I've come completely prepared not.
Well, and we're fighting through adversity because we recorded another podcast for another deal earlier, and I said I screamed at the officials at a football game Friday night that my voice still hasn't recovered, hoping it's not something else. As my daughters told my mom, boy, Dad was a yeller Friday night. And I said, oh, them officials needed yelled at. So,
Yep. I heard it.
But I think, we'll start this way. We do some of these others that we got people from here. I obviously know you. Some people from around this area obviously know you, but we do have people that aren't from around here have been tapping in this podcast and listening to it. I kid you not. We have people in 4 different countries that are following this thing.
No kidding.
I don't know what for, but hey, glad you do.
Welcome.
If I could speak some of those languages, I would and say thank you, but I can't. So
thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Tell us, obviously you're Jerry May. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you come from, what you're doing.
Man. Okay. Well, grew up on a farming ranch west of Hardtner, Kansas, 22 miles. We raised Angus cattle and some wheat, some Milo. Back in the early 90s, my dad decided the farming wasn't working out there, so he planted everything to grass. And so we started running. We still had our cows on pasture, and then Dad grew Caucasian blue stem and Old World blue stem, and so got doing hay, doing grass hay, and that's what Dad still does to this day. We still bale grass hay.
Now, hold on one second. When you talk about Caucasian blue stem, is that a variety of Old World?
Yep, it is.
What was the thought on him going that way? Because I think I might know, but do you know?
Tonnage, I think.
And
I think
that
it was
stuff will grow about
yes,
anywhere.
it is. And if you ask some professors that it is a highly invasive species of grass, and you can see that. I mean, it's in our pastures. It's growing, and it'll grow it'll grow in the middle of a road.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty sure it's classified as an invasive species. But dad grows it anyway.
Well, Oklahoma pushed that years ago.
Yeah, for erosion
NRCS did.
control
Yeah.
on highways, right?
Yeah.
I think that's
Yep.
right.
And I know some guys that put it to use around here on farm ground that was failed crops after failed crops, tried to plant a different grass to have a pasture and it wouldn't take, and they went to old world blue stem and it's thrived.
Oh man.
But they manage it like a crop.
Yep.
If they hay it, that hay gets fed in
There.
specific pastures, like right there.
Yep.
Uh, they don't sell the hay to anybody that would go put it somewhere else. They manage it really well, and uh, it's done a tremendous job protecting those
Absolutely.
pastures.
Yep.
By no means am I telling everybody go out and buy it, but what I am
Right.
saying
Right.
is we've seen it used in a very positive
Yeah.
manner.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. Sorry, I just
There's
stole your thunder.
there's another squirrel.
Squirrel left turn.
So did that until my senior year, and then got accepted into Oklahoma State. Went there for 7 years. Got a bachelor's degree in plant and soil science with a minor in agronomy, and then I was very, very fortunate to meet uh, one of the smartest professors I've ever met in my life, Dr. Bill Ron. He had a soil fertility class, and him and I just hit it off just right away. One of the main reasons is because of course, you're what was that, a sophomore, junior in college, so you know absolutely everything, and the professors don't know anything. And so he was telling us the class about how to fertilize your wheat crop, how to make better yields, and be more efficient with your fertility. And I never heard that growing up. You know, I was working for a guy just east of here, and we always moldboard plowed, spread urea, grew wheat, and that's what we did all the time. And so that's how you grow wheat, or that's how I thought you grew wheat. And so him and I, we would battle back and forth in class. And one day, it didn't get heated by any means, but I knew I was right. He knew he was right, and so we just kind of butt heads on on farming, really. And he said, "Jerry, would you stay after class?" Oh no, I am in big trouble now. So I stood after class, and he goes, "Walk with me to my office." So I walked with him, and we started visiting. He said, "You ever think about grad school?" No, sir, I didn't. He goes, "What's your plans after graduating?" I said, "Well, I said I'd more than likely just go home and go back home, start farming, just keep on farming what I'm doing." And he said, "You need to think about grad school." I've never heard of that. Nobody's ever told me go to grad school, or
Yeah.
I wasn't even in my mind. I was thinking about getting my bachelor's and going on. And I said, "Okay." I said, "I'll think about it." And so he said, "Talk to your parents about it and see what they think." So I called mom and dad, and I said, "Hey," I said, "I don't know if it's offered to me or not, but a professor of mine said I need to think about going to grad school." And they asked me, what's that entail? I have no idea. Didn't know what grad school was, any of that. So anyway, they said, "Well, it sounds like, we'll support you if you want to do that. It sounds like a good deal to us." So the following week, saw Dr. Ron in class again, and I stayed after class and said, "Dr. Ron," I said, "I thought about it, and I talked to my parents about it, and said they agreed, that said it'd be a good deal." And he said, "That's good. You can be in my graduate program." I said, "Great." And I said, "Where do I sign up?" He said, "Let's go to my office." So we went back down to his office. I sat down. He threw out some paperwork, and he goes, "Don't worry about it. I already signed you up." I knew he was going to say yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so he saw something in me that I never saw in myself. I'm not saying I'm not smart at all. I wasn't graduate potential. I wasn't a 4.0 student, but he saw something in me that nobody else saw. And it was just one of those turning points. He said, I already signed you up. All you got to do is sign the papers. I said, that's
Hmm.
cool. So I signed the papers and I said, when do I start? And he said, when do you want to start? I said, well, I've already committed to going back home and helping the farmer that I was helping with. I said, I've already told him I'd be back to help him. And he says, how's 15th of August sound? Does that give you enough time? Yes, sir, it will. So did the farming thing, and 15th of August, I started a graduate program at Oklahoma State, got my master's degree in soil fertility and precision nutrient management, and off we went.
How new at that time? Because we're talking, ooh, are we close to 20 years ago?
2008, 2010.
Okay.
So 15.
How new was the precision side of that?
It was the stuff that you are seeing now, like with John Deere See and Spray, the technology there. It was beginning to show up at Oklahoma State. We could sense the crop. Now, I'm not saying we can differentiate between a soybean plant and a kochia weed plant. We couldn't do that, but we could see green versus brown back then, and we could spot spray
Okay.
like what John Deere's doing right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Was
the
Oklahoma State one of the first colleges that went embraced that?
to my knowledge, they're one of the starters of it. I'm sure there's other colleges out there, Iowa State, Kansas State,
Yeah.
that were doing that. But to my knowledge, Oklahoma State, of course, I was just there. The automation that you're seeing, the tractors that are fully automated now, we could do that back then.
Really?
It's not near as sophisticated as what it is now as what it was back then. Whenever I was in college or grad school, they were doing a lot with turf, like golf courses and everything, and they were trying to figure out how to make those mowers on a golf course fully automated. And what at that point in time, what they were running into was those mowers can see green, but their problem was, okay, so what if a golfer or a kid that lives on a golf course at a house and he's wearing a green shirt and he runs out on the golf course while that mower's going, how's that mower going to differentiate his green shirt with grass?
Hmm.
They couldn't do that then, but they can now. And so it's very interesting how this stuff is finally starting to come up.
So was any of that being discussed? Was precision ag? Did you learn about that solely at Oklahoma State when you got down there? You hadn't seen it here,
No,
right?
like I said, we were still moldboard plowing.
Yeah. Well,
And
I knew the guy that you worked for was doing that, but I didn't know if anybody else was kind of teetering out there on anything that, that you could remember.
not that I can really remember. I know some guys, Bob and Lori Schrock, they were probably the pioneers of, let's just say, auto steer, for example. They
Yeah.
were probably the first people that auto steered. They were probably the first people that started variable rating their fertilizer through their air seeders. And that was really the turning point in precision ag around here, was variable rate. Not really that I know of.
So how much, how's the best way to put this?
I'll tell you another story about precision ag.
Okay.
Before you do that.
Yeah.
One of the very, very coolest projects that I worked with in grad school was it was a seed orientation study, and it was a collaboration between the plant soil science department and the engineering department. And what they were coming up with, and I don't know if they ever got this done or not, but they were wanting to build a planter to where every seed that it planted, that seed was at the same orientation. So like the tip of the corn seed was either pointing up, pointing down, left side, right side. The you know, where the crease is on that corn. I can't think of the name of that right off the top of my head. It was either up or down. And how they were going to do that, they were going to make a planter that would roll out tape. And that seed was oriented on that tape. And that tape was biodegradable. And so whenever you planted it, it disintegrated into the soil, never seed again. But that seed would be placed exactly the same throughout the whole field. And so one of the first studies that we ever did was in the greenhouse. And we took hundreds, thousands of pots, little bitty pots, and we placed, you know, like 10 or 12 seeds in a row at the same orientation or different orientations. And we watched that corn germinate, grow, and it's very, very cool how that seed is orientated. The leaves on the plant comes out different ways.
Really?
Yep. So if you orientate them the right way, you can theoretically you can make those plants leaves not overlap each other, so they are 100% efficient with photosynthesis.
That makes sense.
And then it got to even talking to where, you know, those rolls of tape that seed is on. Why couldn't you make that roll of tape, put some starter fertilizer on it?
Yeah. And that was back when you was in school.
Yep. So that was about the time I left. So I never followed up on that. But that was very, very cool.
Do you remember, was there a preferred way that the seed was planted that seemed to work better than another?
I know the studies are out there, and it's you can find the studies at Oklahoma State website somewhere. I can't remember.
Interesting.
Yep, it was cool.
Well, I guess where I was going before all that was you kind of came into that studying with a clean slate. You didn't have any built-in knowledge of precision agriculture. And so do you feel like that gave you a heads up or a fresh start to go down that path?
You know what? I think God works in mysterious ways, and I think He put me in that position to where Dr. Ron saw something in me. He saw a farmer that could learn this technology and do something with it. So starting fresh, I knew how to farm. I knew how to drive a tractor. I knew how to plant wheat. I knew how to grow wheat. Now, putting these different practices into a real world scenario, that was kind of my job. So most of the graduate students, they had small plot research, which is the small plots are 6 foot wide by 10 foot long. Okay, then you harvest the individual plots, and you do the scientific method on those, and you come up with your study, research methods, and all that stuff. My project was a little different. We still did the scientific method, but mine was large scale, and so we did real world application. Like some of my treatments, like those small treatments that I told you about, the 6x10, mine were 60 foot wide by a mile and a half, or a half mile long.
Okay.
And so we did research, but it was in a large scale. And that's what my thesis was, is large scale implementation of sensor-based technology is the title of my thesis paper.
Wow. So you finish up with the grad program at Oklahoma State, and you ended up out in Texas for a bit, didn't you?
Yep. So my very first job was working for Western Equipment as an AMS specialist / agronomist. So back in that time in 2010, John Deere or Western Equipment was really I think it was Western Equipment. They were kind of looking towards the future, and they saw a need for in-house agronomists to really push for selling iron. Okay, so that was about the time when these the R series tractors came out, and they're pretty expensive, and a lot of the times you buy a really expensive tractor and you only use it to pull your implements, and that's it. Well, that tractor can do so much more. It can collect data. It can variable rate stuff. It can save you money. It can do drive itself, all the things that you're buying, but you don't utilize. And so that was kind of our start, the AMS department. That was kind of our start to the John Deere thing. And it worked good. I keep telling people, I said, that was the most fun I had at a job, besides what the job I got now is going out there visiting with farmers, setting up brand new equipment that you're really, really jealous of. Because I've never been in a new piece of equipment, a new tractor. So you
Air
go out.
conditioning. What's
That's
this?
right. I remember diagnosing, we sold a tractor to a guy out there, and it didn't have 150 hours on it. And a lot of row crops out there, a lot of irrigated corn, a lot of irrigated cotton out there. And this thing wouldn't auto steer. For some reason, it wouldn't auto steer. So I went out there, and it was like 3 hours away from the shop, and started diagnosing stuff. And I couldn't figure it out. I had I was chasing wires through that whole thing. Of course, it's, these new tractors, they got 500 miles of wires in them. I couldn't figure it out. So I finally told the farmer, I said, we got to take this in the shop. I said, I don't know what's going on. So anyway, we took it to the shop, and like a couple of days later, shop foreman called me back. He goes, we found your problem. He said, whenever they built this tractor at the factory, they set the cab on the tractor, and it pinched a little red wire.
Oh, wow.
And that was it.
Wow.
So they had to take the cab off and started searching for what. Sure enough, there's a little pinched wire on the right side of that cab.
So was you in Texas 2 or 3 years?
I was out there about a year. Yep.
Okay.
I wasn't out there very long, just long enough to kind of get my feet wet and start really visiting with customers, starting knowing the customers out there. And like I said, I really loved that job. If the thing didn't happen, I might still be out there. I'm not sure, but there was an opportunity to come back home, closer to home. Of course, we all know there's nothing like home. And opportunity as agronomist at the local co-op came up, and interviewed for that, and they liked me, so I took that position.
Heck yeah.
And moved back home.
Then you started your own.
I did. Worked for that co-op for, gosh, probably 2 years, year and a half, something like that. And I don't know. Like I said before, God works in mysterious ways, and he had another plan for me, I guess. And something happened, and just something inside of me said, I don't want to work for anybody. And here we are. I just had a notion, went with it. Didn't know if I was going to be able to afford ramen noodles there for about a year, but I had to work a winter job to keep food on the table before we started.
And you had to have a conversation with another individual before you pulled the trigger too.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I did. Yep.
Talk about that. I thought that was a good story.
You talking about the manager position, the manager story?
The guy that had a little company out on the other side of town.
Oh, yeah, Monty. Yeah. That was just a little bit afterwards.
Okay.
But we can tell that story.
Yeah.
So
I got to respond to text message so people quit calling, so go knock it out.
Oh, you don't want to pause right now?
No, you keep going.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Well, I'll build up to the guy east of town story. So started May Precision Ag in 2012, and we were just a grid sample business. That's all we were doing. So that kind of took off, and I was able to support myself, just off of grid soil sampling for a little while. And of course, I would help everybody else, but that was taken off, and I don't know, maybe a year and a half later, guy that I went to grad school with at Oklahoma State, he was an agronomist for Pioneer Seed. And he called me and said, hey, we need to visit. I said, okay. So him and his account manager showed up, and they said, you ever think about selling seed? And I said, well, man, I tell you what, I said, that'd fit absolutely perfect in my business. You can grid sample, you can give them recommendations for crops. Why not sell them the crop too? I said, yeah, let's get it started. They said, all right, we'll get you, we need a Pioneer rep here in this area, so we'll get you going. I said, okay. I didn't have a shed. I didn't have a forklift. I didn't have anything. Didn't know how I was going to do it, but we made it work. And after I signed those papers, we had a local seed dealer that sold DeKalb Asgrow, and his business was, oh my gosh, Justin, back at that time, it was a monopoly. It was thriving.
It's good.
It was good. And so I was a little bit nervous. So I called him, and it was Monty Williams, and I called him and said, Monty, we need to talk. All right. So we hopped in his pickup, and we had a couple adult beverages, and we were driving around. I said, Monty, I said, had an opportunity to come up. I said, I just can't turn down. And he goes, what's that? I said, I'm going to start selling seed. And I said, first off, I said, I promise you, I will not knock on any of your customers' doors. I will not go out there and steal your customers from you. And he kind of looked at me weird. And I said, but if one of them comes asking about seed, they're going to be mine. I said, if they start asking, I said, I will take them. And he said, Jerry, that's fine. He said, you just go right ahead. He said, if I ever see a Pioneer sign hanging up on any of your doors, he goes, I'll just use a shotgun and shoot it down.
I could hear him saying that.
I did. And he just chuckled and dropped me off at my house, and away he went.
Well, at least he dropped you off at your house.
That's right. That's very true.
So you quickly became a one-stop crop shop.
Pretty quick.
You could grid soil sample, give recommendations on seed, fertility, everything.
Yep.
And how did it take off like a rocket? Was it slow going?
Slow. Anything like that, especially in agriculture. I mean, when I started, you had to scrape the bottom of the barrel and then work your way up, and thank goodness I'm best friends with some of the best people in the whole world, the Blevins family, and they let me use their skid steer, and they blocked off a side of their shed just for me, and I wasn't selling hardly any seed at that point in time, but I'd get some seed in, and they let me have it, and I'd go deliver it, and did that for probably a year and a half or something like that. And guy came to me, like I said, just out of the blue. He said, I'm getting ready to sell my shed in town. Would you like to look at it? I said, yeah, I'll look at it. And went over there, and of course I couldn't afford it, and he said, well, we'll work something out. And we did, and ended up buying a round top in town. And it was big enough for me. It was a 40, I think it's 40 foot wide by 100 foot long, and bought a forklift, and man, I was just rolling. I thought this is the greatest thing ever.
Now, how confident was you with Pioneer seed? Had you used Pioneer seed, or did you know much about it before you pulled the trigger and jumped in?
No. So I knew of Pioneer. I never did use their products. Rewind back to grad school, everybody that was going through soil fertility, Monsanto was just lapping them up left and right. They were paying them monster money to come work for them. So I knew DeKalb Asgrow. I knew them, and I knew they had some really, really good products. I knew of Pioneer, but nobody went to Pioneer. And I don't know if it was just because of pay, if it was they wasn't near as aggressive as getting guys. But anyway, I knew of Pioneer. We never grew any Pioneer stuff around here. So
was that more up like in the I-states, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana?
West Texas, Iowa. They've got, I think it's like a 90% crop share in Western, like the Texas Panhandle, West Texas, Oklahoma Panhandle, Western Kansas.
I've seen every now and again you'll see an Iowa State game, and I think they're a big sponsor of their court or something.
They are. They're big up there. Of course, all your seed dealers or all your big seed companies are the I-states. I mean, that's where the gravy is.
Yeah. Well, let me back up. I know you talked about coming back to this area to work for the co-op. What was it that made you want to come back? I mean, obviously got a job offer. We know people that go to college, graduate, go start careers, somebody talks to him about moving back here, and we don't see him. We were just having a discussion over lunch
Yep.
about a couple people like that.
Yep.
What was it that made you say, "Yeah, I think I'll come back to Kiowa"? Because I mean, let's call a spade a spade. You were with John Deere. Okay, co-op, not to knock him at that time, but that's not John Deere.
Right.
So what was it that appealed to come back here?
Yeah. I just can't really pinpoint exactly what it was. I think a lot of it had to do with, you gain so many friends in college, after college. Most of my friends, really good friends, my two best friends were still back here, Tyler and Garrett Oman. They were back here, so I'm sure that had a lot of influence on me. Um, I think a lot of it was since college, everybody moved away and was doing their own thing and got to see less and less of them. And it was more of, okay, college is over with. And you start, growing up and doing grown up things. And I think a lot of it had to do with that. Just, and as we all know, it's a little slower pace around here, or it seems a little slower paced than big city living. I love Amarillo, but at the same time, it's a big town. A lot
Yeah,
of
it
stuff
is.
going on out there, and just the city lights and everything. I don't know if that was for me or not. But that co-op job gave me an opportunity to come back, and I couldn't say no. And of course, my mom and dad are still here,
Sure.
and you always want to move closer to them and be back closer to where you feel more comfortable.
Yep. Yep. How walk me through, because I imagine when you start grid soil sampling and talking precision agriculture with producers, um, talk us through the development of that, because I'm sure there were some growing pains of
Yep.
trying to explain how this works and how it could be effective or efficient. Just kind of walk us through some of that.
One of the hardest things I had to do starting doing that was, okay, so now never been in sales before. I had the scientific background. I knew exactly what the soil reports said. I knew exactly what those guys needed to do. Um, but now you got to sell it. How the heck do you do that? Well, each individual farmer is different. And so now you got to tailor to each individual farmer. One farmer may not know anything about precision ag or the variable rate stuff. The next guy that you talk to, he knows everything about it. He probably knows more than me about it. And so you just gotta you just gotta do different things for different growers.
And isn't that the beauty of uh, precision ag, grid soil sampling? It's getting the right information from each specific location. Is not a cookie cutter approach
Right.
where that seemed like that was farming for years. As you said earlier, you just did the same thing over and over and over.
Yep.
And this helped. I imagine it was probably got some people scratching their heads of how can this really be that effective?
Mm-hmm.
If we're not covering the whole field,
Right.
if we're just specifically treating different areas.
Right.
Uh, was there a point that you thought that uh, maybe expedited the growth of the company, or was it just a gradual gain?
I, looking back, I think you got your really aggressive farmers, producers that other people look to.
Yeah,
They farm across the fence. They see this producer doing this and this and this. They think it's crazy until harvest time comes around and they start counting how many truckloads are coming out of that field. Like, what in the heck is this guy doing that I'm not doing? That's making, my farm just right next to that farm had the same amount of rain, had the same variety, maybe, thought he did the same things. But those more aggressive guys, I think if you can get to those guys and convince those more aggressive guys that it does work and precision ag does work, then that will trickle down to other farmers more than what I can go out there and sell every single day.
Yeah. So,
but I guess another caveat to that story is what really propelled May Precision Ag was in, gosh, what year was that in? 2018 or 19, Monty passed away.
it was before that.
Was it before that?
Yeah, it was, I want to say
16.
I think it's before that. Let me think real quick. I want to say 14. I think it was 14.
Okay.
I think it was July of
14. Yeah, I think
right
you're
after
right.
the county fair.
I think you're right. So, a lot of people looked up to Monty. I looked up to Monty. Looking back, I kind of structure my business what Williams Ag was, or try to. I mean, it was very, very successful. And anyway, Monty's passing was sudden, urgent, and it was bad deal. But in 2000, I believe it was 2019, that I had the opportunity to buy Williams Ag out, and that's one thing that's an opportunity that comes around that never comes around, and so couldn't say no.
Yeah, that's actually, I misspoke earlier. That's when you become the one-stop crop shop.
Yep.
Because you could do it the whole thing up until, and then you added custom farming.
Yep.
Also, you could do everything but harvest the crop for them.
Right.
But you was willing to find somebody to do that. But you could take somebody through the whole gamut. And how important is the precision side of agriculture? Let's just really look at it in this area, because we've talked that we're experiencing stuff right now that we don't normally get, and that's rain,
moisture.
So how important has it been to get some of these practices implemented to help people become? I'm assuming they're becoming more sustainable, but yet more profitable, staying in the game, because farming's a high risk operation, as we know.
Man, high risk, a lot of times low reward. Right now inputs are so expensive. What the cash price for our crops, they're the same as they were in the 70s and 80s. I mean, $4 wheat, we were getting that in the 70s.
Yeah.
When you can go buy a combine for $40,000.
Yeah, not now.
Not now. You can't buy a used header for $40,000 now. And now you're talking, okay, so we got the same price of wheat. You turn around, you go buy $1 million combine, and that's without the header. Go buy. They're not going to sell it together like they used to.
Yeah, isn't that ironic?
Yeah, you got to go buy $1 million combine and then turn right back around and buy a $250,000 header with it. So now you're setting at $4 wheat, and that's just one piece of machinery that you're in debt to, $1.25 million. How are you going to make that up at $4 wheat?
Yeah. More than likely not doing what you was doing.
No. So your inputs are so much higher anymore. Your margins are so small. You got to find ways to cut back. I mean, you just can't go out there and say, I'm going to throw 50 pounds of nitrogen down. I mean, you can. It's going to work for you. Nitrogen always works for you. But why do that when there's technology out there right now that can tell you almost with 100% confidence? What's that word?
Confidence.
Yep, that one. That you're going to get this yield if you fertilize this much. It's almost a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And any technology past 2012 is capable of variable rate. My sprayer is capable of variable rate. And with this Accu, no, not something John Deere's. It's not the See and Spray, but it's the Accu Spray. You can do variable rate with it. I can do variable rate with mine too, but it's not near as accurate as Accu Spray. But I mean, why not? All this new equipment's capable of it. Why not use it? I mean, you bought it.
Yeah. Got to watch my coughing.
Need another lemon drop.
I might, but I'll get to chomping it on here. I want to go back just for a second. You talked about, modeling May Precision Ag, off what Monty was doing with Williams Ag. And I think one of the things that was really neat with Monty was his support to the South Barber community, whether that was the towns themselves or the 4-H and FFA programs, the school or whatever. It seemed like he was involved with that all the time. Was that something that was important to you to carry on? Because I noticed that you do that as well.
Yeah, so that's one of the main things I look up to Monty with is he supported South Barber, not only the community, but he was really, really good with the kids, and he supported all the kids. And I remember when I first started, I couldn't afford ramen noodles. But I did tell myself back then, I said, there will be one day I'm going to be able to give, money to South Barber FFA. Back then, that was my goal, to be able to make enough money so I can support South Barber FFA. And that's one of the main things that Monty did, was support the FFA, not only FFA, but the whole community. And, man, that's just been something I strive for all the time. Is I like to give back. I like going to those work auctions. I like going, the hospital always has a fundraiser. Those is always a good time. And so I did. I modeled that 100% after Monty, and Monty wouldn't miss one of those things for nothing. He was always there. And here's one thing I can't do that Monty could do. There would be a pretty good crowd there. Let's just take the work auction whenever Monty was there. They raised so darn much money at those work auctions because Monty would bid for another person. Everybody would think, Williams Ag is buying this person, and he would spend $1,000-$1,500 or whatever, and they say, sold Williams Ag, and he say, no, that was Moltz Oil, or something like that, or, Brent Deal, and those guys would shake their heads and, okay,
like they were in the room.
Yeah, they were there.
Yeah,
they were there.
We need to make that.
They didn't know Monty was bidding for them.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, and he was always known to kind of set the tone at some of those.
Yes.
We did a livestock sale back around 2009 up at the state fairgrounds, and him and Casey come up to it. First one out of the latch, he'd asked me what I thought, which one was the best one. I said, lot one's the one. There was not a higher selling animal that day than that one. And that's because he jumped on it and set the tone for the day. And, and that sale went really well.
Yep.
And I know he used to buy some calves at the KGLS sale, and somebody's like, why are you setting the tone? He goes, somebody's got to.
Mm-hmm. Might as well be me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So how is your business? I'm assuming it's evolving through the years. Kind of talk us through that a little.
Yeah. So, still do the custom spraying, still do the grid sampling, still do seed, chemical, that type of stuff. But, with life, it's ever evolving, and it's ever changing. And some opportunities in my life have not forced me by, that's not the right word at all, but it's making me rethink a lot of things in life, and So May Precision Ag has changed a little bit over the course of probably 2 years, and I felt this coming on, and so I knew I had to start making some changes, and it's happened, and so, May Precision Ag has cut back a lot, not 100%, but a lot on the custom spraying and the chemicals and the fertilizer. I'll still do that, but I'm not gonna be 1,000% full bore like I was the previous 8 years, 10 year, whatever it is
Yeah.
now. Um, Gonna start focusing more on some the grid sampling and the seed side of things. So that's I really really enjoy that, and started taking over, started farming a little bit on my own, and so gonna focus a lot on that. Um, like I said, I'm not stepping away from May Precision. I'm not doing that. Um, but a lot of that stuff's gonna slow down a little bit for me.
As technology continues to change at a rapid pace, how have you kept pace with that? Do you take like continuing education courses or
Yep.
kind of talk about that?
Yep, every year I gotta take a 1A, so that's ag commercial spraying license renewal. Gotta go to classes for that. You gotta do, I think it's 7 hours of core and however many hours of in-class you gotta do, and I try to keep that up to date every single year. I go to winter crop school at Stillwater. Oklahoma State puts that on. Just keep up with anything and everything that I can in the realm of agriculture and precision ag.
And then Pioneer do some stuff on their own as
Pioneer,
well.
we've
I'm
got
sure.
we have big seed meetings a year, and of course with email and text and smartphones and all that stuff. I mean, they send out a lot of information for us that we got to read through, and yeah, I keep up to date with all that stuff, and so I can relay that back to my producers. Um, a couple years ago, we had a bad leafhopper infestation on corn, and people were going frantic down south. Of course, those leaf hoppers they move to the north, and they can be damaging to corn. You know, and so Pioneer was on top of it. I mean, they would text almost every day or every other day. Found leaf hoppers in this county. Be on the lookout in 2 or 3 weeks. They're probably going to be up to you. So, I mean, you can relay that message so fast to all your producers. Say, be on the lookout. This is what if they are here. This is what you need to spray. By the way, May Precision Ag has that.
You bet.
So,
You bet. Trying to think. You kind of covered a little bit with what I was wanting to go. You started talking about farming a little bit more on your own, which uh, kind of puts a cramp in your style because you're kind of a golfer.
you want to go down that road?
I mean, if
I
you
am.
want.
I'm not happy about that.
Well,
Yeah,
it's,
that's true. Oh man,
farming's not an 8 to 5 deal, my
no,
man.
I'm finding that out too. No, it's good. It was a decision I made, and so I gotta make the bed or sleep in the bed that I made. And so it's one of those deals to where you got to give and take, which I had to give up some of my golfing, which I think my wife's happy about that, but I'm
I bet she
I'm not.
is.
I went golfing for the first time last week. It's been over 3 months since I even touched a golf club, which if anybody knows me from around here, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
I mean, during this time of year, I'm usually golfing all the time, but yeah, I went golfing for the first time in over 3 months last week.
Like riding a bicycle?
No,
not, not at that course.
I did shoot better than what I thought I was going to, but I still didn't put up a good score.
I forgot, and I think it's very important that we bring this up, whether you feel comfortable talking about it or not. I really don't care about your feelings, and you know that.
I
Your,
I do know this.
it's very important to mention uh, because of your success with May Precision Ag, your continued involvement with Oklahoma State, you received a very prestigious award. And the reason I say I don't care about if I hurt your feelings is I know you wouldn't have brought this up,
No.
but it needs brought up. Was it the Ferguson Award? Talk about that. Don't be bashful.
Yeah, so gosh dang it. Kind of caught me off
Suck it up,
guard there.
Buttercup. Tell us about it.
It was the Ferguson College's Early Career Achievement Award that they give out to 2 people every year, and I was selected to be one of them. The other gentleman was a turf major who's done landscaping for Google, done landscaping for Amazon, all these big time people. He a big time dude.
Yeah.
And then I think they scraped the bottom of the barrel.
Well, I thought they went, well, how do you top this? Well, I know a guy named Jerry May.
Shoot. No, I was way out of my play league whenever
Yeah.
whenever I stepped on that stage with that guy. Like, wow, this dude's really done it. But no, it was, man, it's such an honor. I had no idea that was going to happen, and I got selected, and so yeah, might as well put in. So I did, and I got selected for it. I mean, it was such an honor. It's a really, really great group of guys that's received that award. Like I said, I'm not fit for that award whatsoever, but they gave it to me for some reason. I don't know why yet. Still ask that question.
Here you go. Somebody seen something in you that thought this guy ought to go to grad school that you never seen. Well, let's call spade a spade. None of us seen it, Jerry.
I know.
That's
exactly right.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
That's exact black sheep.
Here's a guy that's down on his luck. I think we can make him feel better if we send him to graduate school.
Let's give him this award, poor fella.
But it's the same thing with that award. You're the last person to see what everybody else is seeing. And I couldn't think of a more deserving person than you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, probably more deserving than that guy that did the turf for Google and all of that.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I guess the serious question is, they give you any free tickets to like football games or anything?
I don't think you can give tickets away right now, can you?
Yeah. Well, you can give them away. Well, no. You probably have to pay somebody to take them right now.
I think that's right. Right now. No, they didn't give me any. I mean, they gave me a plaque and everything, and I had that honor for a year, and then somebody else, received that award the following year. But they actually put my face on the wall at Ag Hall for 1 year. So feel sorry for those people that had to look at me for a year.
You're leaving yourself wide open for a lot of stuff.
I know.
I gotta be a lot nicer than what I'm thinking right now. Well, what do you think? I know since one of the things we kind of skimped over a little bit is as the technology evolves, there's the opportunity to be even more efficient. There's new technology to determine different things. And one of those things that you guys embraced, you guys started a company called Ninja Ag, you and some other guys. Talk about Ninja Ag real quick and the benefits of it and all the whatnot.
Yeah. So Ninja Ag is its sole purpose is coming from right out of Oklahoma State's Precision Ag Handbook. I mean, we use the Green Seeker handheld sensor that was made by OSU, made by the Plant and Soil Science and the engineering department. We use algorithms that were tailored at Oklahoma State, Kansas State. We use all those things to give a producer a nitrogen recommendation and a yield potential map. So our main crop in this area is wheat, of course, and so we'll come out in February or March to a guy that wants to try Ninja Ag, and we'll either use satellite imagery or I've got a drone, a DJI drone, and we'll fly those fields for them, and we will make a NDVI map. Normalized difference vegetative index is what that's called. And what that is, it's light reflectance. And so we can use that light reflectance map to see how healthy that crop is. And based off of algorithms behind the scene that we have made, OSU's made, K State, all these other universities have made, we can come up with a nitrogen recommendation based off of that NDVI map to give you a yield prediction map. So we can say, Justin Goodnow, at this point in time, at this date, with this NDVI map, you're going to make 46 bushel an acre. And if you want to do that, you need to fertilize this amount of nitrogen. Or if you don't fertilize, you're going to make 27 bushel.
Yeah.
So if it is feasible, economically feasible, you can fertilize. If you say, I don't have a dime, I'm not going to fertilize, 27 bushels about what you're going to get. And I keep telling my customers, and I've told you this, and I've told several other people this, the closer we get to harvest, the more accurate we are. Probably around April, March 15th to April 15th, 20th, somewhere around there, we can predict your yield with 95% confidence that that's what it's going to be. Now, if some Mother Nature thing comes up and it hails out or gets hot, 100 degrees in April, then
Yeah.
of course we can't do that. But if Mother Nature's cooperative with us and everything goes the way we think it's going to go, we can predict your yield.
And that allows a producer an opportunity to start exploring grain marketing options,
Grain marketing, all that stuff. So yes, get that map, say this is what it's going to make. You can either fertilize, you not fertilize, or you can go to your local cooperative or whoever you're selling your grain to, say I want to market a third of this, or whatever benefits your farm the most.
Yep.
And look at your nitrogen prices, see if it's economical to fertilize that much. If it's not, you also got a base yield map that you got, say this is what's going to make if you don't fertilize.
Yeah, I think the one of the more important things that I forgot to mention early on in this discussion was darn near everything that you do as far as grid soil sampling, the Ninja Ag and all that. A lot of times that falls right into the programs with the USDA that could be significantly, the cost might be significantly decreased or even free if you utilize those programs.
Yep, absolutely. And it really, some of those programs, they don't take a lot of effort. Just people don't know that they're out there. They don't take a lot of effort to sign up for them. And you can either get some free money out there or something that'll benefit you through the USDA,
Yeah.
I know they have precision ag, not benefits, but programs out there.
Yeah.
I know they do.
I can't remember. I know we've talked before on there's a set number of acres, not like that you have to have, but it's the dollar, it's X amount of dollars per so many acres, to where we're not telling you you're going to go get rich on it, but it could be, depending on how your acres fall, you could be money ahead.
Yeah.
On it.
Yeah. There's some customers of mine that have me grid sample every single year. They take about a third of their farm and I'll grid sample a third of their farm every single year. And I know a couple of them are going through the USDA programs and they pay enough to pay for my services. So you get your soil sampling done for free. If not, you make $1 or $2 an acre. You have that data, and so what your farm has through the grid soil sample maps, and you can go from there.
And if you don't want to deal, some people don't like to deal directly with the USDA, you have access to what's called a technical service provider, a TSP, that they can do the same paperwork that the USDA does. They're on par with that, to where you can work directly with them. And if you got a bone to pick with the USDA, you ain't got to mess with them. You're going to get through the program anyways.
And there's a small fee for that. I mean, it's not that much for us to do that. Give me a little bit of time. I've been working on getting my TSP. Yeah. So in time, I will be one of those guys that can do all the paperwork for the customers, so you don't have to deal with it. Just call May Precision Ag, call me, what email, whatever you guys need to do, and we can take care of that for you.
Yep.
Up until, I don't have it, so I've got to pass it on to my sources.
Yep.
But one of these days, I'll be able to be that guy.
Yep. And with the grid soil sampling, how often is it recommended for producers to do that? Is that an every year and every 3 years? How's that work?
Every fourth year is what I tell everybody. So those grid soil sample maps, the variable rate maps, are good for 3 years, for 3 growing crop years. And so at the end of that, you'll want to regrid and see where you're at. If we've helped your farm out, we're not going to deplete your farm. But if it's not gaining in your nutrients, then we need to tweak it just a little bit. Let's do crop removal plus a little bit just to kind of give back to that soil. So, I mean, that's a good way to do it. I mean, you don't want to grid sample and then say, gosh, didn't make any money. Here's 10 years later, let's regrid sample again. And because it'll be way off.
Yeah. And then, but you also offer different types of, is that the way to say it? Different types of grid soil sampling, whereas like a year like this, where you could have some issues because the amount of rain we had, you can do a little bit deeper sampling.
Yeah.
Because normal grid samples is that like
0 to 6.
0 to 6 inches.
Yep.
These could be down to 24, 36 inches, stuff like that.
So that won't be on a grid. That'll just be in parts of it'll just be like a bulk sample, a zone sample is what we call it. So we'll take what I call them a deep core sample, and we'll zone that deep core sample out from 0 to 6, 6 to 12, 12 to 18, 18 to 24, 24 to 36 inches. Send that to the lab, and then that way we can trace those nutrients that can leach, your nitrogen, your sulfurs, stuff like that, and we can find them in that zone where it's at.
Awesome. Is there, well, a whole lot longer than I thought we was. Any, well, I don't know why I'm surprised.
We haven't had a whole lot of birds on this one yet.
No kidding. We kind of paid attention.
Yeah, we did.
Are there, not to spring this on you, but we're in November looking to 2026 crops. Is there some varieties that Pioneer has out there that stand out to you that producers might be wanting to take a look at right now to learn a little bit more about them?
Yeah, so they're always making new corn hybrids every single year. I mean, they turn over so stinking fast. I think for the most part, a corn hybrid will stay in our lineup for probably 3-4 years at max, and then it gets replaced. So everything's turning over so fast now. We got some corn varieties right now that are top notch. They are absolute beast in this area. Let's see, 0622 is one of them. It's a good one. It's a tough sucker. It's got a lot of ear flex on it. I mean, it's a good hybrid for those really tough soils. Got a longer day. It's 1122. It's pretty dang tough. It's an Aquamax variety. Ear flex is all right. You want to put it on some pretty good ground. As far as soybeans go, Pioneer is 100% Enlist, which is 2,4-D tolerant. All those
kind of important.
Yes, all those varieties, I mean, are outstanding. Anywhere from a 3.7 to a 5.5. You're not going to have a bad one in that soybean lineup this year. They all outperformed themselves in every variety child that we've had. They are awesome. On the grain sorghum side of things, 86P20 is our standout. Milo, it's been around for a long time. It's a 103-day variety, and it's just short in stature. It's tough. It's a all-around good variety. We are going to have some new Milo grain sorghum varieties coming out that's going to be just as tough, maybe some more yield potential on them. And also I'm a phytogen cotton dealer, and I just started last year, so I don't really know a whole lot about the hybrids, but they're good. They're standout ones.
Now, on the beans and the milo, I'm sure there's probably some varieties that are tailored towards double cropping, which some people do around here. So if somebody wants to come in and talk, you've got access to everything that you can walk them through to find them the best fit for where they're at.
Yep, absolutely, and we can tailor it, what their farm is wanting to do. So if they want to double crop and then push it and maybe try to go to wheat, that usually doesn't happen around here, but we can tailor that. If they want to follow up with a corn variety after double or hybrid after double crop, we can do that. The herbicide tolerance out there. I mean, we can put an SU tolerant bean out there if you put finesse on your wheat. We can do that. So there's scenarios out there to where we need to kind of think about, what we're going to do and kind of get a game plan for that and do the best that we can do on your farm.
You bet. And let's just throw a little plug in there. This is the time of year to be talking.
Yep.
We're getting towards the end of the year. Be talking varieties, be talking grid soil sampling, be getting on the books for Ninja Ag.
Yep.
Because the last thing you want to do is wait to the last minute, because then if you get busy,
it's
tough to get to you then.
And along those lines, Justin, and I forgot to tell you this, or mention this in our last deal, was the wheat does look good in this area right now. It really, really looks good.
Back-to-back years, it looks like.
But I have seen a lot of cheat come on, a bunch on my farm. I got a lot of it on my farm. So I planted a coaxium, three varieties of coaxium wheat. And if you've got double stop wheat or a coaxium variety of wheat, you can either spray aggressor right now, or you can come in with Beyond on your double stop wheat to get rid of that cheat right now, because it's here.
Very, very important. Yep. Glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Sorry about
that. Hey, glad you got it in on this one.
You bet.
I mean, stinks that they're not going to hear it on the MPA podcast, but which would have been beneficial to your business.
That was my fault. Can you cut this out and put it on the
We can try it. Well, Jerry, I know we've went quite a while. I don't want to keep you all day. I know you're a busy guy. Contrary to what some people may say,
most people,
think you're a pretty busy guy.
Try to be.
Appreciate everything you do as far as helping producers, but as far as your contributions back to the community as well. I don't know how many people realize you played in the pep band this year at a football game. We got a community pep band, and it was only one game.
Yes, gosh darn it. And I feel so bad because I've been gone every other football game, and so I wasn't able to play, but I did get to sneak in one of them.
Yeah. I know my girls weren't at the practice that you were at, but the talk was there. Boy, that Jerry May, he's the drummer extraordinaire.
You bet.
So, and for years you sponsored our crops judging teams. Appreciate everything that you've done. And, and hey, I thank you for allowing this to happen.
Yeah, you bet.
You've let me use this little room. We're fixing to doll it up to all those that keep saying you need to do something about the background. Well, it's going to happen. Okay.
Sorry.
We're going to do something.
Can't do everything at once. If we can get some major sponsors in here. We've said some big names here recently that could sponsor.
Well, somebody said, well, look at all the clutter in the background. I'm going to point them like, well, that purple hat says MPA. That's a Pioneer logo on that hat.
MPA.
There's an MPA logo on that jacket. I'm like, we're trying to do the best we can on a short budget.
That's right.
So, well, buddy, have a good rest of the day. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving, and thank you as always.
Thank you. Have a happy Thanksgiving yourself.
You bet.
See you.